Well, it's Tuesday Wrestling, and you all know what that means. NWA Powerrr, as you know, we continue with more action taking place. As you know, Pretty and Power continues to prove they are the dominant female faction in NWA, but can anybody defeat them? That is another thing happening. However, there is a non title tag team match between Magic Inc. and Blunt Force Trauma, which is going to be a very good one to watch. And of course, we have NXT. As you know, they entered their fallout after Halloween Havoc. However, they begun the next number one contender for both men and women for the Iron Survivor Challenge. Who will be the five participants? Well, we have some qualifying matches taking place as well. And of course, the obvious thing is, did Carmelo Hayes had anything to do with the attack on Trick Williams a couple of weeks ago? Well, we're going to find out soon enough. But first things first, we're going to be reviewing from this past Sunday from All Japan Pro Wrestling with a two-show event in one day, which is called the Giant Series Hokkaido Edition. There's the day show and an evening show. Both shows have main events involving, of course, title matches, but the night show features Katsuhiko Nakajima versus Yuma Aoyagi for the Triple Crown Championship. So that's going to be good to watch. And of course, to cap things off, we have some news updates to tell about what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what wrestlers are who's booked, what matches are set, and of course, any wrestlers that either been signed or departing from the promotions, any injured wrestlers, the whole enchilada. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J. Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is the channel we do a lot of reviews on various wrestling promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do some discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, promotions, storylines, anything we can get our hands on to talk about. Some more news updates if I'm unable to put on this episode, and various other cool things. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. Click on the subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool videos on this channel. But also, if you like this episode, please click on the like button or a nice comment down below. Now, let's begin with, of course, this is from All Japan Pro Wrestling for the Giant Series and Hokkaido Edition, which is a two-show, one-day event. Of course, right now we're going to start with the day show first. If you guys are unaware, this is one of those shows that I decided I wanted to do this because it's a two-show event in one day. Now, our first match, we have singles action. We have Yoshitatsu versus Ren Ayabe. Now, I wasn't too sure how this match was going to be, but it was pretty good. Now, Yoshitatsu, who's been a veteran in the ring, you may remember him from WWE back in the day. However, I was surprised how this ended. Ren Ayabe picked up a very good, impressive win on this one when he applied a somewhat of a Falcon Arrow. Now, spoiler alert, there's been a lot of wrestlers that have been using the Falcon Arrow throughout the entire shows that I've been watching in All Japan Pro Wrestling. So yes, so he picked up a huge win. I don't know what this means for him, but I'm sure there'll be conversations where he'll be soon enough reaching for a title match. Second match, we have tag team action. We have Zenichi Shindai members, consistent of the junior heavyweight star wrestlers Atsuki Aoyagi and Rising Hayato, taking on Ryo Inoue and Hikaru Sato. This was a very good match. I mean, first of all, I know the Aoyagi and Hayato are a very capable and stable tag team. I've been before Hayato changed his image; they were very, very close. But however, I wasn't too sure how this one would go down. But Hayato tried every certain moves because, of course, his main weapon was the springboard moonsault that finished the deal, and that's exactly what it did. He saved that one for last, and he picked up the win when he pinned, I believe it was Oyagi, yeah, oh no, Inoue, to pick up the win. Next up, we have a six-man tag match. We have Black Mensuri, Fuminori Abe, and Kumagoro Hokai taking on Noriyuki Yoshida, Takao Emori, and Tomoya. Now, I don't know much about certain wrestlers here, but it was a pretty good match. Very solid from what I can tell. But I have to say, Omori, a big, huge dude, a veteran in the game, he applied a lariat onto, of course, Black Mansuri, or should I say, his former tag partner, and just ended just like that. So, pick up a good one right there. Next up, we have singles action. We have Dan Tamra taking on our current G-Rex champion from GLEAT, T-Hawk of the Strong Hearts. Very hard-hitting match. I mean, T-Hawk is an incredible wrestler. We know that he is a fantastic wrestler, what he does. I figured this match was definitely going to with him until he applied the Knight Rider move, and it was just over right from there. Excuse me. Next up, we got more members of the Zenichi Jidai, consistent of Kento Miyahara, Shuji Ishikawa, and Yuma Aoyagi. They take on Yuma Anzai, Ryuki Honda, and Suwama. Now, I wasn't entirely... I was completely biased on this one, I mean, because I know each of these wrestlers individually are good of what they can do, but having this as a team. Now, I feel like with the guys from Zenshidi Shinjidai, they are a stable team. I know that for a fact. But in the end, it was, of course, who was it? Ishikawa with a splash mountain by on Anzai to pick up the win. Now, our next match, this is one of two championship matches. The All Japan World Junior Heavyweight Championship. The challenger is none other than the Octopus, Jonathan Gresham. Yes, you heard me right, guys. Jonathan Gresham made a trip to Japan to participate. He faces the champion, El Lindaman. I have to say, this is one of the good matches I enjoy with Jonathan Gresham. I mean, here's the thing. I feel like Gresham and Lindaman, they have like the same kind of build, but also they have a unique set of skill. I mean, Gresham, we cannot deny the fact that he is one of the best pure wrestlers that we have watched. I mean, but I've witnessed El Lindaman, a guy of his size with incredible strength. So that was put to the test for El Lindaman because he knows that Gresham, he could put him in a hold no matter what. But luckily, it was a Tiger suplex that put away Gresham to retain the title. So yes, I was very happy with the result of that. But nonetheless, a pretty good match. Now, our last match, our main event, is the All Japan Pro Wrestling World Tag Team titles. Hakuda Omori and, of course, Murder Grandpa, the King, Minoru Suzuki. They take on, of course, the Voodoo Murder members, the Saito brothers, Jun and Rei. Now, you probably could guess that this match was going to be hard-hitting. I mean, I'm sure that Omori, who is a rising star in All Japan Pro Wrestling, he's determined to win gold. And we all know Minoru Suzuki, his reputation, because we've seen it countless times, either on Noah or anywhere in the world, or anywhere in Japan, however you want to see it. But in the end, it was the Saito brothers with the Doomsday device onto Omori to pick up the win. I was hoping by the end of this match that they were going to get challengers, but unfortunately that did not happen one way or the other. But As you know, they are double champions. Not only they're the All Japan World Tag Team Champions, they're also the G Infinity Tag Team Champions from the promotion GLEAD. So we'll see how they're going to progress. Sooner or later, they will be getting challengers. But right now, let's move on with our next show from All Japan, the evening show. Okay, so right now we are in the evening show by All Japan Pro Wrestling, the Giant Series Hokkaido Edition. Now, as I mentioned before, there were two shows. We just already reviewed the day show. Now we're doing the evening show. And of course, this one took place on November 5th, which I failed to mention. But however, let's get started with the whole thing. Our first opening match, we have a tag match. We have Sydney Shota Stevens. I don't know who that guy is. He teams up with Hikaru Sato. They take on Takao Omori and Yoshitatsu. I have to say this one has a bit of the powerhouse type in this match, but it was the lariat by Omori onto Stevens that sealed the deal to pick up this win. Moving on. Next is another tag match. We have Noriyuki Yoshida and Kumugoro Hokai. They take on Black Mensuri and Tomoya. You can say this is a pretty good match, but I wasn't too sure about this because the combination is a little different. But it was, of course, a very impressive high kick to the temple by Yoshida onto Mensuri to pick up really good win. That's a pretty good kick. I like that. So it ended right there. Next match, another tag match. We have Ryu Inoue and teaming up with Suwama. They take on Akudo Omori and Minoru Suzuki. However, this match, you probably can guess Suzuki and Omori would like to pick up a little bit of, how to say, blow up some steam after losing the tag title match that they had earlier against the Saito brothers. But of course, like any other match, when it comes to Minoru Suzuki, he picked up the win with the Gotch style pile driver as always, and I think he applied it onto Inoue, and it was over from there. And of course, Gatsi Nore, that's always been the theme song whenever we hear from Minoru Suzuki. Next up, we have another tag match. We have Shuji Ishikawa and Ren Ayabe. They take on the Saito brothers, Jun and Rei Sato. As you know, these guys have faced each other before, previously in GLEAD, but this is a non-tag team title match. I wouldn't be surprised because I have to say it was very impressive. I mean, Ayabe, I have seen him; he has grown so much into this. But what was impressive, he pulled up an upset on his own when he applied a Falcon Arrow onto Jun Saito to pick up the win. So the obvious thing is, will they use this as a way for him, for Ayabe and Ishikawa, to challenge the Saito brothers for the All Japan Pro Wrestling World Tag Team titles? That is something that we definitely could see down the line, but we just gotta wait and see when that happens. Next up, we have Jonathan Gresham, Dan Tamura, and who is it? Rising Hayato. They take on Fuminori Abe, El Lindaman, and Atsuki Ayogi. I have to say it was a pretty good, impressive match from what I can see. As you know, Gresham did face El Lindaman earlier, but now they're still opposites, and it's strange to see Atsuki and of course Rising Hayato on opposite sides, but they have faced off before as competitors against each other before. But in the end, of course, Rising Hayato picked up another impressive win with the springboard moonsault on Abe, and it was over right from there. Next up, we have Kento Miyahara teams up with T-Hawk. They take on Yuma Anzai and Rookie Honda. Now, we know that there have been moments between these two guys, certain members. Now, Kento and Rookie have gone back and forth in the past, but it was a pretty impressive. but it was, of course, Kento with a German suplex onto Honda to pick up a good win. Now, our main event, I believe, is the Triple Crown Championship. Katsuhiko Nakajima making his championship match against Yuma Aoyagi. Now, this was the most anticipated match that many people were expecting. Not because, I say so. Many people have believed that Nakajima can take All Japan into new heights. And I have to say, this was a hard-hitting match. Very impressive. These guys went beyond their limitations in this match. But in the end, of course, it was the vertical spike by Nakajima to pick up the win. So he becomes the new Triple Crown champion. But however, during the promo, I don't know what he said, but it doesn't take a true genius. Now, I can tell that Nakajima, he's looking for good competition. He already did that with Noah. What's the harm in doing it in All Japan? If you guys were in his shoes, you would have done the same thing. Of course, the one thing that was surprising, there was a line lined up for him. But there was one person that he seems interested in challenging. And I had a feeling it was going to be him. Not because I say so, but I had that distinct thought. Because, as I said before, Nakajima is always up for good competition. And the person he called out is none other than Kento Miyahara. As I figured that was going to happen, the refs were telling him not to do anything stupid, not to get involved with him. But, of course, Miyahara, he has no intentions to start a fight with them. But, of course, he has some things on his mind. I'm sure Miyahara is the kind of guy who will not tolerate the fact that here comes an outsider who now is calling his shots. So that's the thing I can tell. But, of course, Nakajima, I don't think he cares if he's an outsider. All he cares is devouring his competition. That's all he cares about. So, it looks more like there's going to be a match between them for the Triple Crown Championship. So, that's going to be a very interesting match to see. Now, I don't know when it's going to be once I find out the next, because this will be a very impressive thing. I wouldn't be surprised, but I did state it. I will do a discussion video talking about All Japan, how they were really highly successful, especially in the 90s, how Eddie Kingston had knowledge on that. But what drove All Japan Pro Wrestling to fail and continue on regardless of their financial status? Well, we're going to be talking about that on that day. So stand by for that video. But for right now, let's just move on with NWA Powerrr. Okay, NWA Powerrr, as you know, they just recently, about a week and a half ago, they just finished off with their Samhain show. There was no Powerrr last week. However, we're going to see how things have changed from here on out. Now, our first match, we have a tag team called the Heat Seekers, consistent with Elliot Russell and Matt Sigmund. Well, apparently Joe Galley couldn't pronounce his name, so I looked it up online, which I did some research because I want to know who they are. They face off against members of the Southern Six, Kerry Morton and Alex Taylor. This shows a bit of the match, how the Southern Six are proving once and for all why they run the business. And of course, it was Alex Taylor with the green whistle onto Zigmund to pick up the win. Then we have the Southern Six head to the podium to talk to Kyle Davis. Apparently, they're saying that the reason NWA has sold out was because of them. They're bringing up that whole thing like Jay White. If you guys remember, Jay White clearly goes out of his way to say that he singly sold out Madison Square Garden and all this. So now they're doing the same thing, but in a much different way than you wouldn't imagine. So they're taking all the credit for that. Now, our next match we have for the NWA Women's World Television title. Misa Kate is the latest victim by Max the Impaler. So basically, you can guess Max the Impaler won this match with the short-range lariat. However, I wouldn't be surprised that if somehow Maxine Taylor gets her 7th win, she'll challenge for the NWA Women's Championship, which is the last thing I know Kenzie Page does not want. But we'll see what happens. Now, we do see a bit of an interview with May Valentine. They meet the King's Bees, a new tag team based on a certain region. I cannot remember where. There's Danny B and Charlie King. So apparently they will be challenging for the NWA Women's World Tag Team titles against the members of Pretty in Power. So that sort of thing. Now, our next interview is EC3. Apparently his next challenge for the NWA World title is none other than Jack Stain. So right now I'm kind of wondering. I know Matt Cardona, as you know, he's demanding a title shot, but I don't think EC3 wants to give it to him. I think he just sees him as a nuisance, that he doesn't take pride of the NWA. He keeps saying that he's the savior of the NWA. EC3 in his own way saying he's a savior, that sort of thing. But of course Jack Stain, had his piece to say, so he sees him as a businessman. But however, he's not going to be fooled by him regardless. So this match will take place on November 18th. That's pretty much what I've been from what it was announced. Now, our next match is a non-title match. Magic Inc. faces off against the current NWA World Tag Team Champions, Blunt Force Trauma, Carnage, and Trauma. Of course, that stinking weasel Aaron Stevens was there. And once again, Stevens gets involved with the loaded glove. But when they try to take out one of the members of the Magic Inc., CJ low-blowed Aaron Stevens, which I said, finally someone took matters in their own hands. I wouldn't be surprised if Magic Inc. would play mind games with Blunt Force Trauma to get those tag titles. I'm sure Aaron Stevens is going to complain next week saying that CJ committed a crime, that she needs to be arrested. That is something I could definitely see. But I'm sure everybody who hates Stevens are laughing their butts off. Now, our next, I think this is our final interview. We have, of course, our last two interviews, one with May Valentine. We have, of course, Chris Silvio with Blake Troop, Koa, and also apparently there's, of course, Blake Troop is trying to build up his own skill set to get where he needs to go. So that they're setting that up already. But of course, Pretty in Power were in the podium. They're not too concerned with the King Bees, claiming that they are not in the level, they're going to lose. Once again, they keep saying that, but we'll see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised if the King Bees pushed them on a level. Now, our main event is a non-title match. Taylor Rising takes on Kenzie Page. I had to say Taylor Rising has grown so much, but however, it was no match for Kenzie Page until she applied the Kenzie Cutter, and it was over from there. But however, when the match was over, Kenzie Page wanted to set up a message saying that no one's on her level. Luckily, Natalia Markova had some things to say. But I wouldn't be surprised if Markova challenges for the belt. I'm sure that's something many people would like to see. So I think that's pretty much it with NWA Powerrr. Let's move on with NXT. Okay, NXT. As you know, we just come out of the Halloween Havoc shows that took place for 2 weeks. A lot of things has happened since then, but of course, the obvious question does tell. Many people are saying, did Carmelo Hayes had anything to do what happened to Trick Williams, or we're just going to find out exactly. But, however, first things first, they opened up the entire show with the Heritage Cup on the line. As you remember, during Halloween Havoc, Akira Tozawa stole the cup and decided to play a little Scooby-Doo, and of course, Tozawa got what he wanted. So it was Akira Tozawa versus Noam Dar for the Heritage Cup. Now, I'm not going to go too much of the entirety of the match, but I can tell you, Dar actually picked up the win through, with the second round, and Tozawa with the fourth. However, much of the entirety Noam Dar was being all cocky, tried to break the rules by attacking um, Tosawa in between the bells. However, of course, like always, those lousy pipsqueaks of Metaphor gets involved, but Noam Dar was about to do a high praise um, senton bomb until Lash Legend pulled Noam Dar out of the way, and then of course the Nova Roller picked up the win during the 5th round, which was not good. However, of course, during the entire thing, Menza, who took offense that uh, Tozawa kicked him, he did not appreciate that, but he got his butt whooped by none other than Otis himself. So basically, just like that. Now, a very special message from none other than WWE legend Mick Foley. It turns out that Mick Foley has been chosen to decide who's going to be involved now in the annual Iron Survival Challenge. Now, if you guys remember, there'll be 5 competitors from both the women and men. Whoever walks out will get a title shot. So he already made the decisions in 2 qualifying matches. Now, Jordan Kalani, as you know, she had an impressive match what took place during Halloween Havoc, but in resulted of not winning the NXT Breakout Tournament, Lola Vice decided to rub it in her face. And of course, telling her the only reason you won is because you can't do it by yourself. Elektra Lopez took offense to it, but Ariana Grace tried to act like she thinks she's some sort of saint. But of course, Roxanne Perez reminded her that this doesn't guarantee you that you're a champion, because Roxanne Perez, if you guys remember, she's been breakout tournament winner before. Now, as you know, last week we did see, well, was it a week ago or last week, we did saw the a brand new NXT Women's Champion, and that is none other than Lyra Valkyria, who has made an impact. But however, out of nowhere, we see Xia Li makes her way. As you know, I did not witness what happened to Becky Lynch when she was attacked by her. It appears that she wants to take her title. That is obvious from what is being told, but that's how it's going to be. Now, as I said before, we have the Iron Survival Challenge. This is one of the qualifying matches in the women's division. We have Tiffany Stratton versus Fallon Henley. Now, we know Tiffany Stratton is determined to win back her NXT Women's Championship, so she has to go through Fallon Henley. However, of course, Tiffany Stratton played a little methodical on this one by attacking her knees, but of course, it ended with the pretty moonsault ever. However, she's only 1 of 5, so the obvious question, who will be the other 4? We'll just see that happening. Now, as a result of what happened earlier, we did see that Tosawa did not pick up the win. He was a bit more down. Here comes, of course, Gulak, Dempsey, Kemp, and Miles Bourne, who have a grudge against, what's his name? Gable, I think that's his name. Chad Gable, for, saying that he's a lousy teacher. And then, of course, Otis decided to play a little game with them. But, however, I was a bit surprised how this, but later it was announced that Otis will face against Drew Gulak. Now, our next interview, Wesley, as you know, he came back. Apparently, he has a wish list. Now, he's determined to win back the North American title, but once again, the party pooper, the guy who claims that guys like Wesley don't belong there, just showed up out of the blue for that. So basically, Wesley told him, well, you better be careful, because what happened last week, what you did to Ilya Dragunov, he's going to kill a payback. Baron Corbin doesn't think that's going to happen, but Wesley knows all too well the kind of person Ilya Dragunov. So he better be more careful on that. Now, Braun Breaker, before heading to the ring, he's confident enough to believe that he will walk out of this. But however, the referee was told by Shawn Michaels to be discreet about the match of this one, because someone has to be more of a winner. So basically, it's no secret that both Braun Breaker and Von Wagner will destroy each other in any ways possible. But of course, there was all kinds of mayhem, but it was a spear by Braun Breaker to pick up the win. So he was determined to this, even though he's happy. Stone attacked him with the chair, and of course, Braun Breaker was about to hurt him some more. But Von Wagner may not have won. He got what he wanted. He put Braun Breaker through a table, and of course, Stone liked what he saw, and he asked him to shake his hand. But he not only got a shaking hands, he actually hugged him. I think Von Wagner realized he has a friend he can count on. So we'll see where this goes, and I'm sure Braun Breaker is not happy with the fact that he's in that position. Now, as I mentioned before, the question goes around about what happened to Trick Williams a couple weeks ago. Of course, Carmelo Hayes has been declared as prime suspect number 1 because, of course, we saw the reaction that took place when it was announced for a 4-way match. Now, Hayes has no problem with that, but he knows exactly what's going on, so he's going to talk to him about this face-to-face. And that was the last thing before the show, but we'll get to that. Now, our next match, we have the ladies' tag team action. We have Elektra Lopez and Lola Vice. They take on Kelani Jordan and Roxanne Perez. However, out of the blue, Ariana Grace shows up, trying to act like all high and mighty and watch the show. But however, I have to say it was a pretty good one. I mean, you're seeing a pretty decisive one. However, this time Kelani Jordan gets the last laugh because, as you know, Elektra Lopez was the spoiler that cost her the opportunity of the NXT Women's Breakout Tournament. It was, of course, the split moonsault by Kelani Jordan to pick up the win against her. However, Ariana Grace decides to go out and try to announce the winners. She was viciously attacked by Carmen Petrovic, who just had enough of her BS. So there's no guarantee we could see those two. Well, it's kind of guaranteed we could see those two in a feud. That's going to be a lot of fun. Now, Joe Gacy, as you know, he had the schism is done. So basically, he not kind of reflected, but how do I say, saying the kind of things that he did before all of this. But yeah, we don't know where the future leads to him now, but we'll see what happens until then. Our next match, we have Otis along with Alpha Academy taking on Drew Gulak and his buddies. I'm not sure if this is a new version of Catch Point. If you guys saw what they did, this thing where they grab their wrist and do like that, that is the Catch Point sign. Basically, that's how it was. That was a faction that was started by Drew Gulak in the independent scenes. But when he left the independents, Tracy Williams continued with Catch Point. But it was nowhere near as popular it was with Drew Gulak when he left. But, however, Otis actually picked up a very impressive win by him when he applied a powerbomb and it was over. I'm sure these guys, Kemp, Dempsey, and of course Bourne, are stunned that this happened. But we'll see what happens until then. Now, Tiffany Stratton, as you know, she has a guaranteed spot. But there is one person who's a pain in the butt to them that will not allow her to become women's champion again, and that is, of course, Roxanne Perez. So she's been consulted to an only ally she can count on, which is Kiana James. Kiana James most likely will be involved, but they never said who will be her opponent. So we'll see that coming soon enough. Now, during Chase U, Jay-Z Jane, who was a little upset of what happened last time in the women's tournament, however, got a little envelope from, I'm going to presume, the D'Angelo family. Apparently, she read it without Mr. Chase's consent. Apparently, she spoiled the beans. But Andre Chase doesn't know what to do. So basically, this is something that, of course, is going to happen. Now, our next match, we have the men's Iron Survival Challenge qualifying match, Dijak versus Tyler Bate. Of course, this was going to be a very good one, but it was Dijak with a high feast his eyes move, like a kick, that picked up the win. Now he's one of 5 competitors inside. Now, Carmella Hayes comes out, talks to Trick Williams. Now, of course, Trick Williams, as I mentioned before, is people presume that Carmelo Hayes is suspect number 1. But that wasn't what was going on. For Trick Williams, he told him this is what happened. Someone knocked him out from behind. He did not see. Then the ref, but he did hear the refs, and of course, Melo's. But he says that he's always there for him every step of the way. But he asked him, "Where were you?" So basically, it's more like, "Where were you this entire time when I got jumped?" So basically, maybe Melo had nothing to do with it. But however, we saw the arrival of Lexis King, who decides to start stirring the pot, that sort of thing. But unfortunately, I don't know if Lexis is saying that he was responsible for the attack. Who knows? But apparently, Trick Williams was about to punch him. He dodged, accidentally hit Carmelo Hayes. But this could be the beginning, what people say, the end of both Melo and Trick. So we'll see what happens in the upcoming weeks from that. I think that's pretty much it what we have. So let's just move on with our last thing, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So this is what we have for everyone. As you know, for the Wrestling Revolver show in LA Unreal that takes place on the 16th of November, they announced a couple of two matches taking place, and these are first time ever matches. First one, we have Jacob Fatu taking on Masha Slamovich. That's gonna be one hell of a match. And then our second one is a tag team match. We got the Switchblades, John Moxley and Sami Callihan, take on the Rascals, Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz. I'm definitely going to enjoy those two matches. Now, as you know, once again, matches have been added for the West Coast Pro Show on the 3rd of December in LA for the Monster event. We have all the way from Dragon Gate, Masaaki Mochizuki takes on the Bounty Hunter, Brian Keith. We do have Johnny Robbie versus Miyu Momono from the Joshi promotion, Marvelous. And of course, we have a 6-man tag match. We have members of Los Vipers teaming up with Black Taurus. They take on Aramis, Iron Kid, and Wicked. So that's going to be slammer. Black Labels Pro announced a title match for the Slamilton event on the 2nd of December. The BLP Midwest Championship will be defended. The current champion, Calvin Tankman, defends his belt against Matt McCorksky, I think that's his name. But yes, interesting developments coming up as Rosen. As you know, NXT looks like they're going to have their weekly show takes place in CW. There was the possibilities of moving for that. I know recently the CW network we're making a deal with NWA. That is something I don't know what's going to happen. I know that NWA want to have a TV deal, but don't know exactly what's going to happen between them. So we'll see. Now, finally, this one I'm following up from the previous episode on the news updates. As you know, Tam Nakano had to withdraw from the Gold Rush event due to a knee injury. Apparently, she's getting treatment. Apparently now there's been fans are saying what's going on here. Suzuki, on the other hand, is a bit frustrated and dissatisfied that this match has been canceled, like it's not going to happen. Now, many people are saying that what's going to happen here, because here's the thing. Those who don't know, if a wrestler gets injured, they have to defend the belt within the next 6 months. However, if they're unable to do that, they have no other choice but to relinquish the belt. Now, we haven't heard anything from Stardom about that. Now, there were talks about the possibilities of relinquish the title, but like I said, we haven't heard anything from Stardom yet. We haven't heard anything from Tam Nakano either, because right now Tam Nakano is currently radio silent. So there is nothing. We haven't heard anything from Tam Nakano or from Stardom on this current situation. Now, I know many people are making are not having bad reactions, but they're thinking they need to do what is right. They can't just have Tam Nakano keep the belt while she's injured. I mean, we know that the reason she became champion is because Rossy Ogawa felt that because she's currently 35 years old, she's in her top level now, that they want her to have that moment before she chooses to retire whenever it's the right moment. Um, but we'll see what happens. I will continue to follow up on this matter, but for right now, let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have AEW Dynamite. I haven't decided yet, so by the time this video comes out, we'll be having it, and I'll be doing my next podcast episode. I'll make that announcement some other time. I think I will talk about the events with Kairi Sane making a return with WWE, Cerise signing with Sukeban, and a few other things in that particular moment. But we'll see what happens until then. But for now, we'll just leave things like that. I haven't decided if there's going to be any other reviews I want to do before the AEW show. We just got to wait and see. But for now, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.